Hey everybody, welcome to our Friday Shiro Show, our inaugural whatever this is that we're doing. And wow, Pat is big. Are you sitting back?
I am big. I'm sitting as back as
So
I can.
I mean, it would not be a Dave stream without some technical difficulties. So yeah, I've got to resize Pat here a little bit.
Yeah, I think I said before he got off. I think you muted me before I said that I was big.
Hey, no problem, no problem.
Yes, problem. No, it's cool.
Yeah, so there you go. I might have to resize him again when we slip on over to the game stream. But anyway, hey, it's the first time we're doing this, so yeah. Welcome. Feel free to join us in the voice chat. We're on Discord. We have a voice chat link in the description. Please join us. It's a huge house party, Saturn house party. As long as we treat each other with love and respect, we're all good. You guys are going to be muted during this section because Pat and I are just going to be talking about the news. And then when we go into hour 2, we're going to go do like a game stream and we'll just open up the voice chat and it'll just be crazy. So anyway, yeah, well, we decided to do a new format here where we try every week to talk about what's going on in the Saturn community just to keep everybody up to date. And of course, we're kind of going off of our own website, Sega Saturn Shiro, where we're trying to put as much, document as much news as possible. And I mean,
hard to keep track sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track with everything going on. And then we get into a podcast episode and we're like, oh, what? Wow, there is a chat going on behind your head, Pat.
Yeah,
there
right
you
back
go.
There.
Technical difficult, but that's okay because that'll be we'll enable that later. I'm gonna have Pat actually keep an eye on the chat if he can. He's got like an iPad or something like that, and I'll mostly be
I have an eye something.
Eye something.
An eye broken is what.
Anyway, oh my God, I can't tell you guys. Like the last couple days, Pat and I have been working on this and like trying to dial it in, and as soon as we think we have it, you know, something goes wrong. Hopefully the audio is okay here.
Fun without it.
I am gonna check real quick.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, okay, all right, okay, cool. So the audio is good.
Dave,
our latency is not that bad. Yeah, no, I have been...
Just troll Dave and just say that you
I've
can't
been
hear
going
him in the
cross-eyed
chat.
with OBS settings. I kid you not. It's just like as soon as you think you have something, you dial it in, then you do like a dry run, and then it's just completely borked. And no, I think yesterday we were doing one, and we had done so many takes that I accidentally went live with one of them and published it to our YouTube feed. And if any of you guys happen to see that, then you are the lucky ones because I think Pat deleted it almost immediately.
You heard me yelling about a smoothie.
Yeah. Pat's like, "Give me a smoothie, bitch," and I'm just like, "This is a test."
And it's like a 5 hour distance between.
Nick Pandemonium, he's like in our leadership chat. He's like, "You know, guys, you just published that." So anyway.
It's all good.
Deep breath. Okay, so yeah, I guess we will start backwards and then we'll just come up to like present day. So just to remind everybody, if you happen to miss the Uplink panel with Tom Kalinske, check it out still. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on it, and I've even listened to it a couple of times because in the moment I was just kind of geeking out talking to Tom, but like I've gotten a lot of insight from the answers that he gave. And so yeah, it was just a really fun chat with Mr. Kalinske. He's a very approachable guy. He was very gracious with his time, and I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like it's like when you're in the moment of it, it's like you're so overwhelmed with like, oh, something might go wrong, or you know, stuff happens.
Yeah.
And it's like you kind of miss what he's saying, and you just sort of give the answer, and you have to listen back to actually listen to what he said.
Yeah,
so.
And I mean, it was a shame that, you know, some of the questions we asked we couldn't get answers to because, you know, not everything is his wheelhouse, like especially like the working designs thing. I figure Pat was like, we'll try, you know. Worst he can say is he doesn't know and he didn't know, but you know, hopefully we will get that question answered, or we'll be able to talk about it more at a later date. But
question.
Yeah, in the meantime, check it out if you haven't, and share it out. Share it with other people who might appreciate it. Peter Malik, who is our like resident editor-in-chief of the blog, and our
I thought you were gonna say Resident Evil.
He's our Resident Evil chief of our Shiro blog and of the website, and he writes some amazing articles. But he also does little tidbits. He puts out a hashtag series called Best of Saturn, where he just like writes a little bit about a game and includes some screenshot It really is just more or less an opportunity for folks to chime in and say like what they think about the game. And Tryrush Deppy happens to be this interesting situation where it's a completely in English side scroller that only came out in Japan. And when I say it's completely in English, I mean like I believe the game is completely in English.
It's weird though it didn't. Didn't you do like a box art thing of that too?
Well, yes. Okay, so I was working on one. I have it like completely done except for the manual pages, which the manual is not in English. The manual is fully in Japanese. And at the time I didn't really have a good translation of it, but I think I might come back to that. I haven't been really...
Yeah, because the pictures just look really good.
Yeah, I mean, it plays really well. It's not the best side-scroller. It's not the best platformer out there, but I mean, it has some cool little gimmicks and mechanics to it, like the gas gauge and the horn and others. There's like, you know, you're a car walking on two legs, kind of like...
Yeah, I always thought that was really unique. I always love these unique gimmicky platformers and the age of mascot characters.
Yes. And I mean, if you guys are familiar with, if you're familiar with Fighters Mega Mix, where you get to play as the Daytona Hornet, walking on two legs, Tryrush Deppy is kind of like that. He's just like a car walking on his back tires. So it's a fun thing to check out. I recommend it.
Isn't it very expensive too? It's like
just burn a copy
something.
or put it on your satiator or whatever, and try it out. It's completely in English, so it's incredibly easy to pick up and play. Moving on, you want to take this one, Pat?
Yeah, so recently, it's I believe the guy's name is Nanash1, released an update to the Cotton 2 English patch. So basically now we have a actual English patch. I think it might have been the first publishing, I don't remember exactly, but it basically is the first English patch. It basically just adds English text to the cutscenes mostly. So I think it's really cool. I mean, it's a little tiny fix, but I mean it's a lot for a lot of people that just want to hear the story, you know. So I would definitely recommend picking or downloading the patch and patching it. And actually uses the Saturn patcher, which I believe is by Night of Dragon. So it should be a little bit easier to get it patched nowadays. So
yeah,
check that one out if you guys
haven't.
And
admittedly, it's it's not the storyline isn't that deep, but I mean it's all about like collecting candy or getting your candy stolen and then having to get it back or something. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to be able to have it in English anyway. It's like one of those games that seems like it would have been an obvious one to bring over, considering how shallow the story is and easy it would have been to localize. But again, we weren't really getting a lot of 2D shooters in the States.
It was in 3D.
It wasn't 3D.
Dave. It didn't count.
To answer Mr. Segurola in the chat, I just checked and apparently we do have some audio latency, but we're going to roll with it because at this point, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
It's
the curse of having both of us in here. I think whenever I bring Pat in here in video form, for some reason we get some latency and stuff. But just bear with us. Hopefully, we'll figure it out. But moving on.
Yeah. Also, to plug real quick, Peter's article on Cotton 2 that goes through the entire storyline. So I would
if you guys actually are interested in the English patch or you just want to know what the story's all about, you can if you go to SegaSaturnShiro.com and you just click on games and scroll down to Peter did an amazing article, like Pat said, about Cotton, and it just goes through the entire story if you really care to know. Otherwise, just download that patch and play the game, right? Last week.
Yeah, we should talk about this.
This. So last week, we weren't doing the Shiro Show yet. It was just still another day doing a Dave stream. But we had a lot of people on, and I was actually really impressed that a lot of you guys joined us. And even some new people just joined the stream, and then they ended up joining our Discord as a result. And so the community keeps growing, and we keep adding new faces, and it's really fun. I had a lot of fun with that one.
I can't believe you got Craig Stadler on as a guest, though. That was a big get.
Yeah. Frank, unfortunately, I did not play the game well. I did not play the game very well. But then again, I was coming into it kind of blind, having not played it for a while. So it's still a great game, though. It has a lot of charm with Craig Stadler. And it's a pretty decent golf game, considering, when it came out.
Decently bad. No, I'm just joking.
No. I recommend it. I definitely think it's one of those ones that was vastly improved due to the addition of Craig Stadler.
Yeah, and do watch Pandemonium's review on that, because that's literally one of his best reviews.
Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Nick Pandemonium game reviews or Pandemonium reviews every US Saturn game, you guys really need to get on YouTube and do that. He is a member Shiro, and he puts out some amazing little mini documentaries on the Saturn's game library, US game library. And next up is Peter's article on Saturn link-up play, or the Tyson cable, or the battle cable, if you will. The
cable that connects one Saturn to the other, if you want to be
that is correct, literal. Like the LAN cable. Let's call it the LAN cable. But I mean, essentially months ago, maybe even a year ago, Peter wrote up an article on Grid Runner, and he happened to put like this really long kind of article on the end of that article just about the Tyson cable, but it kind of went unnoticed. I mean, I read all through it, and some people did, but it kind of went unnoticed because it was just kind of buried at the end of this other article. And I was like, Peter, people need to know about this. So he wrote up, I'll show you, he wrote up an insanely long article on the link cable. And
like almost all the games that have it pretty much.
He talks about like where it comes from, you know, what it is, when it was released, the games that it was packaged with. You've got third-party accessories or third-party versions of the link cable. Games like Hyper 3D Tyson Battle Jibokers. Is it Gibokers or Jibokers by River Hillsaw?
I think it's Jibokers.
Okay.
I don't know. It's some name that's.
But it's like an arena battling game, which is like perfect for that kind of thing. So you got, you know, you have to have two Saturns obviously and two copies of the game, but it's definitely one that is kind of a blind spot for me. I have not played this game, not even on a burn, which really surprises me.
Yeah, I think one of the craziest ones they had was Gun Griffin 2. It wasn't like a 2-player game. It was, you can look at the outside of your ship or something crazy.
Let's go in order. Otherwise I have to scroll. Yeah, so you got Hyper Reverthion by Technosoft. Awesome developer publisher, and that is like a fighting game, right? Two-player fighting game. And it is 3D. And it's got this cool like Bumblebee or, you know, Hornet character. It's got some really cool character designs. I feel like I have like a burned copy of this, and I have played it before, but I've never done the Tyson cable with it. So that would be amazing. Pat and I were saying that if the Portland Retro Gaming Convention gets fired up again, I think we're going to be ending up going there. And I think this is going to be a good opportunity to fire up some Tyson cable games.
Exactly, and the 8-Man Bomberman, don't forget that.
James Amercia, or James Oliver in the chat, he mentioned Steeldom, and yeah, Steeldom is one of those games that benefits from the Tyson cable, and it's another amazing game. And I mean, I don't have time to go through like the entire write-up that Peter has done on it, but if you guys enjoy reading good writing about Saturn games, Peter's articles are not to be missed. I promise you, like one day I want to put him in a coffee table book or something like that, because he just puts an amazing amount of work and time into these articles. And Pat got glitchy there. I don't know, maybe it's my internet.
Yeah, your internet's glitching on mine too.
Am I? Oh God. Well, that's not good. Let me just see here.
Well, I mean, it looks good. It looks bad in Discord, but I think it'll be okay on the actual video.
All right, well.
Yeah, I look fine on the video. I think just
it might be on my end.
You're crazy, Dave. You're going crazy.
You can't. You never know until you go, right? Until you go live, and then you just kind of have to roll with it. So yeah. We got two Sophia systems here linked up using the Tyson cable, so that's like the development environment. Oh my God, Nick was just talking about like debugging those things, right? And having like the whole process of
you had to like take off the processors.
Yeah, so like, can you imagine having to debug two systems with Tyson link cables and everything like that? I guess we know that's probably one reason why there weren't very many games that actually took advantage of this. Because
that's an easy 50K right there in that photo.
No kidding. Yeah.
And that's not a resale. That's like new. 50 to 100K almost right there.
That right there. Yeah. So anyway, moving on to Daytona USA Circuit Edition, not Championship Circuit Edition, but the Japanese only exclusive Circuit Edition, took advantage of the Tyson link cable. There's the wait for Challenger screen. So if you got
the classic link in the arcades.
So there's a drive at night mode that Peter featured, you know, the different daytime modes of the game. That's one to check out if you like it. I know that they did tune that game a little bit more than the Championship Circuit Edition, so it was like even further tuned as far as how the cars handle. And I think most people say that if you're into that game, that's probably the version to get. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The game to get.
Although it's not Netlink, you know, like the Netlink version is more like the US version, but just with Netlink added in. Whereas this has the Tyson feature, but the cars are a little bit more tuned. Moving on, Doom. It's Doom. Doom on Saturn is not great by any means, but if you have 2 copies of Doom, you can play this little cool co-op mode where your buddy is like in front of you. I don't know if there's friendly fire, but if that was Pat,
I don't know. I would do that.
Yeah, that'd be shooting him in the back. And so, you got Doom, Tyson cable play, and then this is what were you talking about, Pat? About Gun Griffin 2?
Yeah, that it's like it's a weird thing where you don't have 2 different, you have 2 different camera angles of your ship. So like you can have one of you actually playing it, then one of the outside, like a camera mode. It's really weird. The way that was
so. In other words, one monitor just basically displays. It's just there for like. Is it even something that you would look over at as like a reference, or is it just something to show off to the crowd?
It might be like a crowd thing, but I don't know what crowd would want to watch you play Gun Griffin. But
it seems kind of like from what I'm reading, it's almost like a demo mode or something like that. Like it's just a cool way to display the gameplay that's going on in the game on a second monitor.
For real.
And then, you know, he talks about what could have been some of the games that never made it. Hexen, that had planned cooperative Tyson play. Independence Day had it planned in there.
Made for the best.
Yeah, and some of these...
Made for the best. That game sucks.
You can access the menu with codes, apparently, to find these things. Some of them even mentioned the gameplay in the manual. Head-to-head on Independence Day was mentioned in the manual, but then never made it to the actual game. Again, I can only imagine that the debugging on that would have been pretty crazy. And if some of these studios only had one Sophia, like if they were lucky enough to get one Sophia, being a third-party developer, they probably didn't have the 2 Sophias to be able to debug it. So, versions of Daytona USA, the Psygnosis ports, Wipeout. So anyway, this is an amazing article by an amazing guy. You guys should check it out. But we gave you the TLDR, but definitely go on the website, Sega Saturn Shiro, and check it out. It's an amazing article.
I do think that the one thing I'd really wish they had was Virtual On, but I guess you can technically do that with the Netlink setup. Yeah,
Virtual On does work over Netlink still to this day. You can play the US or the Japanese versions of the game work correct as well. I think that with the patched versions.
Yeah, I believe so. And I think you can actually get 2 Saturns, and I think you can do like Netlink to Netlink.
You
like
could, using a line simulator, using like a TLS or something, like a phone line.
I think
you could either just do Saturn to Saturn using like a phone line simulator, or you could do the whole VoIP setup, which there's also a guide for that on our website, and there's also a guide for that on our Facebook. And you could just contact us if you want a link for that guide. We might even put it in the comments of this video. But yeah, that's something to check out. Next in the Best of Saturn, most recently, was Psychic Assassin Taromarou. Peter did a quick little write-up with some screenshots. Now, this isn't intended to be an article again. Like I said, it's just more or less a social media post just to kind of get your guys talking and see what you guys think about this game. Personally, I think it's a really beautiful game. I think it's incredibly overpriced, you know, for like that's always the thing. Price always kills it.
I think it hit like towards 1,000 now,
for
right?
a burn, it's amazing. Like burn this game now if you haven't played it, and play it, because it's definitely interesting. It's got like a it's got like it's kind of like Shinobi, but then it's got like the psychic thing where you're moving. It's almost like a shooter, you know?
Yeah, it's really fun. We did a let's play of it on the. I don't know if it's still
I'm
there,
sure it
but
is.
I don't think we did upload it to YouTube. But we did a psychic assassin Taromarou. I know Chaz did one, and I think we did one on the Facebook, but I don't think we uploaded it. But we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do another one.
Well,
sooner
basically,
than later,
I mean, I would say that it kind of plays like if you take that recent stream you did of what was it? The game that doesn't have light gun support. What was that?
Oh, Crypt Killer.
Sorry if that came over my mic. Yeah, but Crypt Killer. So example, like in a light gun game where you don't have light gun support, you're basically moving the reticle. And so in this game, it's like a platformer, kind of like Shinobi, side-scrolling platformer where you're moving a reticle and firing on things, almost like Rez or almost like a shooter like that. So it's kind of a genre mashup. It's really hard to describe. I'm not sure how folks would describe this game. So I guess it's got some shooter.
I'm surprised how well it works though in practice.
Yeah,
you'd think
some of the bosses are really crazy.
You think it'd be shit, yeah.
Some of those bosses are really hard.
Yeah, but
what are you gonna do? You're gonna burn this game because you're definitely, unless you're like super serious about dropping like $1,000, you know, $500 to $1,000 on a single Saturn game. You know, do yourselves a favor though if you haven't played this game, and definitely check it out. I don't think there's hardly anybody out there that will be disappointed. It's actually a really good game.
All right, so where were we at?
At any rate, we were talking about the new Saturn shells, and these things look awesome.
Do you want to start from the beginning on that one?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. So
I gotcha.
These things are, you know, from $90 to $130 on Muramasa.
Yeah. They're pretty expensive in some aspects, but if you think about it, to get a whole new Saturn, get the replacement case, find a dead one, scour eBay, it kind of evens itself out. And you can get like really nice ones like the Resident Evil ones that look really cool looking. And I don't know which color I want to go with. Are you more of a red guy or a blue guy with that?
For the Resident Evil one, the stars, yeah. I like the blue. But then again, if I get a Saturn case, I really would love to do some like two-tone thing. I actually saw some guy online he got the blue and then he used the gray Saturn bottom. So it was it was like opaque gray on the bottom and then translucent blue on top. And I thought that looked amazing. And it was an image on Twitter and I can't find it now. Maybe one of you guys have seen it. But yeah, I was looking for it for this article and I couldn't track it down. So, but yeah, that seemed like an awesome idea to do the two-tone thing because they already have like the two-tone on the buttons here and on the cartridge slots. So I thought that would be cool.
Do a tritone.
You could do tritone. You could get really crazy with these things, but my knee hurts. But yeah,
you should not.
So what are your thoughts? Are you going to buy one of these? And if you are, when are you going to do that?
Part of me kind of wants to. I kind of want to play it by ear though. I don't know, like, because I'm getting my Saturn recapped pretty soon. Yeah. But I would like to get like a shell, maybe one of the Resident Evil ones if I do it. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm like stuck between red and blue. I don't know. They both look good. Yeah. For different aspects. I'll have to like flip a coin or something.
You know, I think it was Retro Faith over on the Junkyard or Galaxy Sega. You know Retro Faith, right? She was saying that that if she gets anything, she just probably wants to get a new white shell. And that got me thinking, like, she could easily just go on Yahoo Auctions Japan, buy a Saturn, a Japanese Saturn that's in good cosmetic condition but is not working, and then just retro bright it, or it doesn't even have to be in good cosmetic condition, just can't have scratches, you know. But like James in the Discord, he's been showing us some of his not retro bright, but like UV treatment, and the results are really, really good. You can take a yellow Saturn and whiten it up with just a few UV treatments, you know. So
I'll have to hit him up on that because my Net City has that yellow tint around the screen.
Exactly. So I mean that's always an option. Without, you know, and then you get to keep the original like decals and everything like that. So
yeah, I've heard rumors though that it will go back after a while though.
Yeah, I mean, technically, everything in my backyard has been retro bright, because like all the patio chairs, is UV light damages things technically. So I guess if you did it sparingly and were able to, I don't know. I can't speak knowledgeably on that because I don't have anything that's been retro bright yet, and my Dreamcast is a candidate for that. But
yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I've heard people like retro bright it, then go over it with a UV resistant clear coat. Mm-hmm. So I might just do that.
Yeah,
let's see how that goes.
That's something, that's something to consider. Honestly, I wonder as well, like if the plastic would become somewhat brittle, because I've noticed that things that get a lot of UV do sometimes become brittle, but it might just not be that much. It might not be enough to actually make it something that you would be concerned about. But if you guys need any tips on that, and you're a part of our Discord, you can talk to James Amercia. He's in the chat here, and he does this stuff. He does a lot of console modding and stuff like that, and he does UV treatments and stuff like that. So he'd be a good guy to hit up and ask.
Well, the British King of Mods.
And then most recently, what were you gonna say before I move on?
I was gonna say I really wish they had the oval button Saturns as well. It only looks like it's the circle button master race going on this website.
Sure. And maybe that's just because it's a simpler. It probably has something to do with the fact that with the oval buttons, the actual reset switch or power switch, a lot of them are different. You've got some where there's a little daughter board for the power switch that's attached to the top lid, and then some of them they don't have that. And so my guess is that it's easier to say, okay, everybody with a Model 2 is going to have the same basic deal going on, whereas it's not going to be universal for everyone with a Model 1, and then they'd have to like open up and see exactly what shell they have to make it work. So I imagine it has something to do with that, but maybe they will, maybe if there's enough demand, they'll end up doing that. But I think it's kind of like Retrobit not doing Model 1, US Model 1 controller bodies, because there's probably just not enough demand for it.
Oh, did you say the Model 1 word?
I said Model 1 in quotations. Because that's what people like to call it. They like to call the first controller that we got in the US, they like to call it the Model 1 controller. When, of course, what we call the Model 2 came out first in Japan.
So technically we have the Model 2.
Yeah. This, my buddy, a Murder of Crows, he says if anything's Model 1, this is Model 1. If we want to use that rhetoric at all, but we probably shouldn't even do that because there's like revisions and stuff like that. But anyway, let's not get off on that tangent.
I prefer the boomerang and the boomerang term for the Japanese pads, and the broken controller for the US one.
Nice.
But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the shells.
Yeah, and the latest write-up that we have on the website is just this is a new thing that we're trying to do. It remains to be seen as far as the quality that we're able to maintain and the consistency, because who knows if I'll be able to do this every Friday. We hope to be able to bring you guys news every Friday and discussion, and then do like a little stream and have the community be a part of this. But again, like there are limiting factors like kids and life and jobs and stuff like that, and then there's also whether or not YouTube is going to take a crap on our streams. I don't know. We're gonna have to get that dialed in before next time.
So far, one crap on so far. Let's see if we can keep it up.
I haven't been watching the comments, so it could be back to terrible again.
I've been paying attention. It looks all right. Nobody's being,
I guess that's what happens when I don't use the virtual camera. But anyway, there were a couple of items. There were a couple of news items that have happened recently, like within the last 24, 48 hours, that are kind of controversial, and we didn't necessarily think were appropriate to put on our website, because we're not necessarily, we're not interested in throwing shade or anything like that. But we do think that these things.
But that's just me. That's
okay, go ahead, Pat. Throw shade, and this will be Pat's opinion.
Pat's opinion.
Following in the Disney.
Everything is garbage. Yeah. That's my opinion.
Well, first off, let's see. the older news would be Polymega.
Yeah. So I think we've talked about that before in the past where, I mean, we actually even this is like unaired content that we need to get on the site eventually, but we've actually did an interview with the devs at Playmonji back in E3 of 2018 when it was still the FPGA implementation. And even when he was describing it to me, I didn't know what was FPGA about it. I guess it was just the interface between the cores or something, and the cores were software emulation. It was really weird, but I guess after years and years of delays, because I think it was originally somewhere like the last half of 2018, and they just kept pushing it back, and now apparently they lost their license for business in California the last time I heard.
Well, they haven't. They're about 4 or 5 years behind paying the franchise tax board, is what it is. So whoever they have doing their like accounting, they need to fire them because seriously, I am a business manager for an art studio in California, and I mean, you got to pay the franchise tax board. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to pay your workers' comp, you have to pay your estimated tax and I can't even fathom not doing that since like 2015, I think it was. So yeah, they got to get caught up. And I mean, when it finally catches up to you, they just lay the smackdown on you and say, sorry, you're not doing anything or going anywhere until you pay up, you know? And so apparently they got that dialed in, and maybe they worked that out and everything like that. But I mean, it still kind of remains to be seen, because something like that is definitely going to push everything back. It's going to delay everything, you know? So
yeah, and I think the another delay they had is the controller. Apparently they are getting it manufactured in China and then assembled in Myanmar, which if you know both of those areas, that's not a good combination, because one of them is just getting done with Chinese New Year and getting back to manufacturing after the whole COVID situation, or sorry, the whatever the world event of 2020. Yeah. And then Myanmar is having that coup and that whole thing going on. So
yeah,
it
is a cluster.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate event. And yeah, but I mean, these things exist. I mean, Mountain Richards Gamer did videos of him beta testing it. People have these in their hands for the most part, but it's just a wide distribution.
I want to say for the record, so that people know, like, I is like for this thing. I'm still for it in spirit, but I mean, again, like when something gets strung along so long, you kind of like, if it had come out, its relevance starts to become less so, it becomes less relevant the longer time goes on, because it's like now people are saying that the Xbox Series X can actually emulate Saturn really well, right? And you've got a lot of now they're working on Mr. cores for Saturn. No, obviously that's not ready, but I mean, who knows? It might be by the time the Polymega comes out, So again, like, there are people that are rooting for this thing. They want it to succeed. They've seen the people behind it. They know that they're professionals. They know that it has potential. I would love a little set-top box that just does all of my retro game emulation in my living room, so that I can keep all of my nice, expensive consoles out here where the kids can't touch them. I'm not really worried, if they mess around with a Polymega or something. That was my thought process. But then again, by the time it comes out, I just don't know. We might be onto something better. So
yeah, because I mean, they had, like you said, they had the Xbox developer mode, which has all those emulators built in. So I mean, it's like, why would you want to? I mean, yeah, maybe you might not be able to use the discs, but I mean, if it's convenient, I mean, what would you rather have? An Xbox that can also be played the new games, or the Polymega that could play the backwards compatibility that may or may not be in stock somewhere? But exactly. To be fair, the Xbox One X also isn't in stock anywhere either, so I can't really throw shade in that regards. But I mean, like I said, I think even Ben had it. He even canceled his pre-order, and like I was always I was very skeptical about it because of the CD and other projects, and like I mean, frankly, software animation, it might be good for some people, but it doesn't really interest me per se.
Sure,
I'm more the hardware, but it's just different ways to play, and I'm not judging people based off of that.
Have you happened to watch in the last, I don't know, 24, 48 hours? Have you happened to watch the analog what was it, Analog Frontiers documentary that
I did actually.
Did you watch that? I mean, like Artemio
really
Verbena, he explained, and I've heard him explain this on a podcast before, that like software emulation can be incredibly good. It can be just as accurate, depending on the power that you have driving behind it. So and I mean, MAME is software emulation, and it's an excellent resource for documenting how these things work. So there's really nothing wrong with software emulation. I know, Pat, I know that you specifically are not a huge fan, and that's fine. Everyone can like what they like,
Yeah. Like, I mean, the thing is that I don't hate it per se. I just think that it just hasn't been implemented well yet to the point where I'm cool to jump on it. But it's the hardware that fascinates me the most, because I'm an engineer.
Yeah,
and I love like the idea of redoing that. Like, it's just an interest thing, I mean,
I'm a hardware geek too, and so FPGAs get me excited, because I love the idea that it can be reprogrammed and refined, and that it can always get better. Whereas it's not just like a system on a chip where it's like one and done, and then it's like you have to put out a whole new fabrication in order to make any improvements, which don't usually get done. Usually it's the same NES clone console. Once it's done, it's the same one that's been around for like the last 10 years, system on a chip kind of thing. But I mean, we need to move on in topic. But anyway, needless to say, I think that the Polymega has proven itself in terms of performance with Saturn, with PlayStation, with Neo Geo CD. All that it's not loading times, performance. It's proven itself. And as far as like the end user result, it's good. It's just people want to get it in their hands before they die. So that's our that's the last word on it. It's like, moving on. There's another really juicy piece of controversy that we're not going to put it on our website. We're not going to, I guess we'll comment on it here, but it's Panzer Dragoon World. Take it away, Pat.
Oh geez, put me in a hot seat. But
I'm going to put you in the hot seat.
Yeah, but like I said, we're not going to comment too much on it, and I know there's things been said, but Panzer Dragoon World announced was it called Azil? Is that how you pronounce it? Azil?
Azil,
yeah. It's called Azil R. It's like a remake, an unofficial remake of Panzer Dragoon Remake. Is that
Resurrection? Yeah, Resurrection. It's like a fan-made remake, but without license. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. So basically, it's basically an unlicensed fan remake of Panzer Dragoon Saga, essentially. But there's been a lot of controversy because I guess he's working with people that were doing hoaxes or something. Or something of that nature. I don't really.
I mean, he's asking for money, details. Right? He's asking for money.
Yeah, and they're
to
asking
make a fan-made, unlicensed remake.
It's basically just back on Patreon, essentially. So he's asking people to back the Patreon to support it, and I'm not gonna say if you really want it, you can or not. I mean, I'm not going to say it's bad or not. I mean, I'm just telling you the facts of what exists. There's definitely things to be worried about, as in it's an unofficial product, and it could be.
I guess the concern of all of us is just like, okay, like this is the kind of thing that the heart is in the right place. The spirit of the project is good, but you got to get permission for these kind of things, because if you don't. How long is it going to be before they get a cease and desist, And so if people are sitting here with their hopes up, pouring money into this Patreon, and he doesn't have permission to do this, and then inevitably, I think a cease and desist will happen, because I mean, here we have Forever Entertainment doing remakes of this stuff. They just did Panzer Dragoon. They're working on Panzer Dragoon's Vi. You've got the Panzer VR project. So it's not like it's not on Sega's radar. It's not like they're not keenly aware of the fact that people want this. So I think it's really a matter of time before this project gets hit with a cease and desist. And then it's like a bunch of people are going to be out of their money, because...
Yeah, or they'll have to rework it a la like some of the other projects that have been C&D'd in the past.
Yeah. And so, I mean, as a group that is all about community, and we're all about, fan patches, translations, we're all about mods, we're all about members of the community, Saturn fans coming together and creating content. I don't want us to sound like we're poo-pooing this, but I think that when it comes to a certain thing like this, you got to get permission, you know, or at least you got to reach out and try to work with the company. It's been done before with projects like Sonic Mania. So it's not unheard of. Sega, they're quite approachable and, you know, much more so than Nintendo. So I think we're all just kind of a little reluctant to, you know, put our stamp of approval on this because we realize that they're not going about it the right way.
Yeah, in essence, and we don't want to put like any stamp or anything on it, and then something happens, and then everyone's out so much money, and then it's like, oh, well, you showed this to us, you introduced it to us, and it's definitely a worry. And I'm not saying that's going to fail or anything. I don't know what the future of it is going to be. Maybe it might even be picked up by Sega. We don't know, but
yeah,
I don't think I'd feel comfortable saying you should back this or you should hate this and this is garbage. So I don't want to say that, but
anyway, when we know more, when we know more and we have more information, then we will report on it responsibly, you know, and we will bring you guys the news. But what we won't do is tell you guys to go give this project money without knowing more about it, and without because we're not going to mislead you that way. You know, we're the fans, you're the fans. We want to make sure that we're taking care of each other.
But yeah, and that if you want to look it up, you can look it up on Panzer Dragoon World on Twitter, and he has all the. So if you want to learn more about it and look it up, you can as well.
Yeah, and then the last thing I want to say, completely different subject, but it's just something I wanted to mention, is that our buddy Nick Pandemonium, you know, he is obviously a Saturn fan. I mean, you know, he's putting out a bunch of videos about Saturn, right? And you can imagine that any one of us who goes to the degree of time and effort to put out content for Sega Saturn, we must like the console a little bit. But I'm just surprised at how you get folks who, I guess you could call them fanboys or whatever, like whenever they hear us say anything slightly negative about the Saturn or about Sega or anything like that, they think that we're like secret Nintendo spies or something like that, or they think we happen to be like not the huge Saturn fans that we claim to be. But what folks have to understand is that we're not only are we pragmatic, but we've done a lot of research, and at some point you have to accept the flaws in things. You know, you have to understand that with all the good comes some bad, you know, and of course Sega's mistakes have been many, and never more so with the Saturn, you know. So it's like, yes, we love it. Yes, a lot of those flaws are part of what gives it character and makes its history what it has been. But I mean, if you ever hear us say anything that sounds negative or sounds like we're admitting that the Saturn has faults, it's not because we're not huge Saturn fans. It's because we're realistic.
Yeah, and it's the facts. I mean, you can't
nothing
really
is perfect.
Facts.
Nothing is perfect. The execution of some things has been near flawless. PlayStation 1 did a very good job. It had a good life on the market. But even PlayStation 2, which is one of the best-selling consoles of all time, if not the best, even that wasn't perfect. Even that didn't get off to a great start, you know. And there are stories I could tell you, having worked at like Circuit City selling those things, that, you know, folks were not happy in the beginning, and that Dreamcast actually did much better at the start. So it's like every console has its flaws, you know. So I just wanted to give shouts out to Nick for all of the good work that he does on his videos, remaining unbiased, because it's very easy for us. It would be very easy for us to be incredibly biased and just say, oh, the Saturn is great, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, people are stupid that they didn't see how great it was. But no, we're realistic, and we love this thing despite its faults, but we also realize that nothing is perfect. So that is my soapbox.
That's Dave's soapbox. That's his opinions, not mine.
So don't be a super fanboy. Don't just love something blindly and fail to see, you know, the entire picture. You can love something despite its flaws, you know.
Yeah, just like Dave. He has a lot of flaws, but I still like him a lot.
Yeah, what the hell are you still doing here, right? How have I managed to keep you around? Anyway, no.
I don't know. I should have been gone like years ago, but
the best part about this show actually is that I get to do this with you, because Pat is the OG Shiro. I mean, if we're being honest, I guess you could say he's employee number 0, because he came to me and was like, "We should do this," you know. So
the zero stands for that I'm useless. So
well, that's what Steve Jobs said.
Double meaning.
Steve Jobs was like, if Wozniak was employee number 1, then Jobs was number 0.
Yeah.
He insisted on being employee number 0. So yeah, Pat is number 0, the hero, and he came to me and said we should do this. Shiro, the podcast and everything like that. So I'm just happy that I can be shooting the proverbial shit with you on this show, regardless of the quality. So yeah, and thank you everybody for joining us, for all of the 22 people that are in this chat. Hey, 22, that's not bad. Dang. Yeah. So we're going to we'll head on over to the game stream and fire up some Last Gladiators. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, but real quick, just want to say thank you for listening, guys, for the main part, because it's going to be a whole video thing in terms of this is going to be the things to be on the podcast and on the video thing. So thanks, guys, for watching and listening, and check back when we do our next one, whether it be next week or the week after, or
we're gonna try.
12 weeks from now.
We'll try next week. I don't know. They're talking about sending kids back to school. There's some stuff. There are pieces in motion, but we're gonna try to keep this rolling. And Pat's gonna unmute the live stream room so folks can join us for the stream. So here we go.